Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Avoid sleeping during the day, except when you have no other choice, and have made the day for livelihood. Read or write until sleep comes, and say, My Lord, increase me in knowledge. Work hard during the day, and it is He who makes the day nushur. Getting up and going about, here and there for daily work, after one's sleep at night, or like resurrection after one's death. Consume stimulants such as coffee and tea in moderation. The evil consequences of sinning. Listen below are some of the evil consequences of sinning. A barrier develops between Allah and the evildoer. Nay, surely the evildoers will be veiled from seeing their Lord that day. When a person perpetrates evil deeds on a continual basis, he will become despondent, losing hope of being saved. The evildoer often falls into a state of depression and anxiety. The building which they built will never cease to be a cause of hypocrisy and doubt in their hearts. Fear permeates the hearts of the hearts of the evildoers. We shall cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve, because they joined others in worship with Allah. Life becomes wretched for the evildoer. Verily, for him is a life of hardship. The heart of the evildoer blackens and becomes hard, and made their hearts grow hard. An evildoer's face loses its light and becomes forbid. As for those whose faces will become black, to them will be said, Did you reject faith? People feel contempt for an evildoer. The worldly circumstances of an evildoer become straitened, and if only they had acted according to the Torah, the Injil Gospel, and what has now been sent down to them from their Lord, the Quran, they would surely have gotten provision from above them and from underneath their feet. The wrath of Allah, a decrease in faith and calamity, all of these are the lot of the evildoer. So they have drawn on themselves wrath upon wrath. But on their hearts is the ran, covering of sins and evil deeds, which they used to earn. And they say, Our hearts are wrapped. Do not hear or understand Allah's word. Strive for your sustenance, but don't be covetous. The Lord of the worlds provides for the worm in the ground. There is not a moving living creature on earth, nor a bird that flies with its two wings. But our communities like you. Allah provides for the birds in the sky and for the fish in the sea, and it is He who feeds but is not fed. You are worthier than a worm, bird or fish, so don't worry about sustenance. I have known people who were stricken by poverty simply because of their distance from Allah. Some of them were rich and healthy, but instead of being thankful, they turned away from obedience to Allah. They abandoned prayer and they perpetrated major sins. Allah took away from them their health and their wealth, replacing these with poverty, sickness and anxiety. They were then afflicted with hardship upon hardship, calamity upon calamity. But whosoever turns away from my reminder Verily for him is a life of hardship. That is so because Allah will never change a grace which he has bestowed on a people until they change what is in their own selves. And whatever of misfortune befalls you, it is because of what your hands have earned, and he pardons much. If the non-Muslims had believed in Allah and went on the right way, Islam, we should surely have bestowed on them water, rain in abundance. The secret of guidance, contentment and happiness are blessings that are given only to those who follow the straight path. Muhammad left us upon one end of this path, and at the other end of it are the gardens of paradise. And indeed we should then have guided them to a straight way. By happiness we mean this: when one adheres to the straight path, though he may be afflicted with hardships along the way, he is confident of a happy ending and a future abode in paradise. As a result, he will follow the Prophet, who spoke not from his own desires, who was immune to the whisperings of the devil, and whose sayings are a proof upon mankind. For each person there are angels in succession, before and behind him. They guard him by the command of Allah. One can sense the joy of a righteous person by his mannerisms and by his treading the straight path. He knows that he has a Lord and that he has a role model in the Messenger. He has the book of Allah in his hand, illumination in his heart, and a conscience that prompts him to do well. He is advancing to a greater state of bliss and is always striving for betterment. This is the guidance of Allah with which he guides whosoever he will of his slaves. There are two paths. One thing is fugitive, figurative, and the other that has a physical reality. The first path is that of faith, which one treads in this transient life, a life that is fraught with temptations and desires. The second path is in the hereafter. Every person will have to go across the second path in order to reach paradise. Anyone who fails will plunge into the fire. This path or bridge is teeming with spikes. Whoever is guided to the path of faith and belief in this life will safely across the path of the hereafter. The speed at which he crosses will be proportional to the level of his faith. And know that if one is blessed with being guided to the straight path, his worries and anxieties will quickly vanish. 10 gems for a good and noble life. Wake up in the last third of the night to beg forgiveness from Allah. And those who pray and beg Allah's pardon in the last hour of the night at least once in a while, schedule yourself from being in order to contemplate. And those who think deeply about the creation of the heavens and the earth, stay in the company of the righteous.